What is up, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. My name is CringeyJesse, and this is Formula 123's MyCareer. Cringey Racing here in COTA this weekend. Second out of 3 U.S. Grand Prix and a second out of 3 home Grand Prix for Cringey Racing and CringeyJesse. As we come across the line here in Q1, getting a 134.1. It's a pole sitter for now in Q1. Doesn't really mean a lot down the road, but it's a good time for me, so I'm just going to pull off, go back to my pits, start Q number 2, and that is exactly what this is, the start of Q number 2. My home fans cheering me on as I am one of 2 U.S. citizen racers coming to the end of Q2's lap. We had to go around Fernando Alonso. A little scared that might slow us down. And it did slow me down. But I am P6, which was good enough to get me into Q3. And Q3 brings the enemy of all enemies for CringeyJesse. I don't know why I did myself in third person there. It's whatever. It's whatever. But here we are coming to the end of our first lap. Lewis Hamilton just took the fastest lap. He is provisional pole at the moment. We crossed the line with a 149.3, getting nothing better than P9. But as I come into turn 1, I do realize I'm up, so I stay out. 2 flyers back to back. A little bit of corner cutting right there. No one was watching though. We crossed the line. P3. We are now P3, and once again I notice I'm going just a tad bit faster than I was on the last lap. So yes, I did decide to stay out. As you can see, my ERS is running way low. 3 flyers back to back. I'm almost 3/10 faster, and it's a provisional pole at the moment with only about 4 minutes left. Nobody is out on the track, but will anybody come out? Because if they do, I don't have time, and they don't, as you can see. I have pole for the sprint race here in the United States of COTA. 2 sprint race weekends back to back. I was not expecting that. As the race gets off and gets going down into the first turn. Leclerc behind me. My brakes not really wanting to listen to me as I take that not as well as I could have. S turns also my second biggest enemy next to rain. I hate S turns in Japan, in United States. The ones in Silverstone are not as bad, but I just can't stand them. Top of my head, I can't really think of anywhere else that has S turns as bad, and I do realize right here that my ICE is just terrible. It's bad. It's 61% gone. It is gone. My engine is worse than it is already, as we are using a Renault engine. And here comes Leclerc up the outside into the U. It's not really a U-turn though. It feels like a U-turn, but it's only like 90 degrees. But it looks like a U-turn when you're driving it. He has the lead. However, I do take it back here with a very aggressive dive. Not really take it back. We are side by side, and this is an exciting battle for P1, especially for a car who doesn't belong in the top 5 at least. I will say that. We might not belong in the top 10. Maybe my skill on a controller, because like I've said before, I don't have a steering wheel and pedals just yet. Maybe my skill on the controller is just a little bit better than the AI that I have it on, which I believe is 95. If I'm not mistaken, in a past video, I did bump it up to 95 because I did start on 90. But yeah, into lap 2, Leclerc takes the lead as I try to battle for it right before the S turn. Still side by side, and Leclerc says, no, I'm better at the S turns than you are, so I'm going to go ahead and take this away from you. And that he did. He didn't just take it away from me. He showed me why. Once again, why I am not in a good car just yet. Hopefully season 2, which is right around the corner, will give me better car as we are working on the, what are they called for the end of the week? Regulation changes. That's what it is. I don't want to admit how embarrassing long it took me to figure that out, as I had to pause the game and look it up. However, regulation changes. I am working on those at the moment, where there is only one regulation change at the moment, and that is in the chassis, as Leclerc is still in front of me here, coming to the last sector of COTA on lap number 2. Skipping up into the DRS zone of lap number 3. Leclerc still got the lead, but I'm a second gap in front of Norris, Sainz, and Ocon, all there behind me as I come up the outside into the braking zone on Charles Leclerc. But he comes back up side by side into the 90-degree turn right there that feels like a U-turn. And another aggressive dive right here, because who am I? The best Formula 123 diver in all of Formula 123. It doesn't matter. I don't care who you are. Nobody dives better than I do. It could be an Olympic challenge, and I would win gold medal every single year. Skipping up here to lap number 4 in the S things as I slip just a little bit, which is just enough for Charles Leclerc to get back ahead of me, but not at a good spot, as once again I will have DRS coming into this long straight. DRS activated, ERS activated, and away we go. Charles Leclerc getting bigger and bigger as we are getting closer and closer, and past him with enough time for him not to come back up the inside. So we definitely have P1 for now in this sprint race, trying to hold on to it so that we can start P1 in the main race, just to see if we can even hold on. I don't think these people cared as much as Charles Leclerc once again gets the pass, but I get the what's it called, the switcheroo. We're going to call it the switcheroo. That might be what it's really called, but I can't think of it. We get the switcheroo back into P1. As you look down in my mirrors, you can see Charles Leclerc coming up the inside once again, stopping me from turning. I go for the switcheroo, but it does not work this time, as he definitely holds on as I go for another dive right up the inside back into P1. My dive is undefendable. As we skip ahead to the end of the sprint race, where nothing else really exciting happened, we crossed that line in the first place. Well, no, we crossed that line in first place. We finished the sprint P1. We will start the race P1 here in COTA. And with that, welcome to the grand finale of a wonderful weekend here in the United States, state of Texas, the circuit of the Americans. Is it the circuit of America? COTA. It's circuit of the Americas? The Americans? Something like that. I don't know. Anyway, it's a bright and a beautiful day here as we get ready for Formula 1 racing once again. My home race, second out of third. I did not go for any engine changes as I so desperately wanted to, because I wanted to start out in P1 and hopefully finish in the points. Speaking of finishing and starting, your starting grid, me on pole with Charles Leclerc in second. He is definitely looking for points to catch up to Max Verstappen, whereas I'm just looking for points to finish ahead of P8. Norris and Ocon, Russell and Hamilton starting on the same row. Alonso and Perez, Verstappen and Gasly finishing out your top 10. Oscar Piastri, Yuki Tsunoda, Hulkenberg and Sainz all the way back in P14. Bottas, Magnussen, Lance Stroll, Guan Yu Zhou, Albon, Jamie Chadwick in P20. Nick DeVries and Logan Sargent is bringing up the end of the pack here in COTA. As we get set for the race, we have 5 red lights, and away they go, and away we go. Here we are with a great start off the line. I am very sorry. I don't think I did this in the last race as well. Was the last race? Last race was in Japan, was it? It might have been. I don't know. It's a little too late to think about that. Leclerc getting a great start as we make a slight contact multiple times into turn 1. He said he's not playing games this time around, going into the S section ahead of me here on lap 1 to try to get as far away from me as possible, as I am pushing as hard as I can, knowing that the S sections is my enemy here in COTA. Ooh, sorry about that. We skip up just a little bit into the other straight. My ERS is activated, and I try to make a dive up the inside because who am I? The best diver in Formula 123, but it is not early. I wasn't close enough for the dive as Leclerc gets away just a little bit further after the dive, but I will get it on this dive as he comes in. He turns in on me, hitting my front wing and my front wheel, but I get the warning for the collision, which is ridiculous. I was at the apex first. I have solid proof, solid evidence that that apex was in fact mine. But as I was saying, I don't think I did it in the last video. But definitely in this video, I just completely forgot to do the race replay. I skipped ahead way too fast. We'll definitely make sure it's in the next one, which I believe is in Mexico. Skipping up just a little bit into lap number 4, that contact we had with Leclerc, I believe, injured his front wing, as we have now got a decent gap from Norris, who catches up on lap number 4 after passing Leclerc. Leclerc now 3 seconds behind us, holding back Russell and Ocon, as Norris has but look at that hole. I have never seen that in a game, Formula 1 game before. Now I don't know if I'm late and that is a thing, but I don't think I've ever seen just a hole. Right, that's actually kind of cool and dope, but not cool that the fact that I'm fighting Norris for P1 at the moment. As even though McLaren has had great upgrades in real life as well, but definitely in this game, I've never had to fight Norris before. Now he is my rival, so I have a feeling he's going to be pushing just a little bit harder to try to beat me in these races, but I'm not going to let him get it this time around, as we complete lap number 5 in first place, Norris in second. But he's got that DRS. I'm looking in my mirrors. There he is. I make a dive, not a dive, a defensive move, maybe a little too late, but it did work. I didn't get any warnings or any penalties for it. As we go around turn number 1 into the S turns, I'm ahead of him, which means even though he could pass me, I don't think he will. A little aggressive as I try to keep the outside, but he pushes me into the inside as he wanted that outside turn. Does not get the move, as he did get very close, but does not get the move here on lap number 8. Leclerc now not even in the top 5, as Russell is catching up with us. Ocon and Alonso, I'm sure, will be catching up with us at some point. Moving on to lap number 9, the end of lap number 9, starting lap number 10, I decide to box here because, well, it is part of my strategy to box here. Norris is also boxing with me. Alonso and Ocon and Russell all decide to stay out. Hamilton is going to box. Perez is not going to box. Hulkenberg not going to box. Stroll and Piastri not going to box. Guan Yu Zhou, Carlos Sainz not going to box. Here comes Logan Sargent, Jamie Chadwick, Nick De Vries, as they are the last ones to pass me, as I am coming out of the pit lane into lap number 10. Only 10 more, maybe 11 laps to go to the end of the COTA race, and everybody in front of me, nobody has boxed, so all of this is free positions as long as I stay within that 20-second range of them. Nick De Vries is my first victim, as I am going to go ahead and get right past him. Jamie Chadwick, being a teammate, I'm going to be just a little bit more respectful as we try to get around her, because the last thing I need is to wreck myself out trying to be aggressive with my teammate. And last thing I also need is bad morale between me and my teammate, which I don't think is a thing in the game, but who knows, as I come very, very close to rear-ending Logan Sargent, as he is now going into the pit lane. Jamie Chadwick also going into the pit lane. Starting behind me, did she possibly cross that finish line before me? I wonder if that's like a little short, like if you're like right on their tail and you go into the pit lane, would you win the race? Coming up into lap number 11 after gaining a lot of other spots on everybody else boxing. Ocon Alonso finally boxing. Going into lap number 12, we now have P1 once again with a 2-second gap on George Russell, but I'm sure with him driving Mercedes it won't take long. Lap number 16 is around, and here he is side by side. I have a feeling he's going to have that DRS, so I'm going to go ahead and turn on my ERS and try to get away from him. I don't see him in my mirrors as he's half a second behind me. Hoping he stays a half a second behind me, coming to the end of the DRS straight. And yes, I do keep that little bit of a gap on him, going just a little bit further here. I thought I cut it here, but that's fine. That's fine. Maybe something happened that I don't remember. Okay, nothing happened. I just kept it. I kept it through the U-turns, the long S turn, not the snake turns, whatever it is. Russell getting by me here, but because I wanted him to, I knew he was close. I knew he was going to pass me. I knew he was going to get the DRS, so I slowed down just enough for myself to get the DRS. I wanted to test something out now, because if it works, I would like to use it in the future in a couple of laps, maybe on lap 20 if he's still pretty close. Getting that DRS, not really using the ERS as much. I do get back past him into P1. Around the U-turn we go with a good half a second lead on him. Now here on lap number 18, making a defensive move on George Russell, getting right in front of him right before he can get past me. Might be illegal in real life, and Max Verstappen is out of the race. Ladies and gentlemen, Max Verstappen has DNF'd, I believe for the first time this season, and I don't want to jinx myself, but I have yet to DNF. I'll have to look at those statistics after this race. Maybe in the next video I will show you the statistics of everybody who's DNF. But that is good news for everybody who is trying to catch up and gain on Max Verstappen in the Drivers' Championship point run, because Max Verstappen is no longer in this race. Everybody else needs to get points, which is also bad news for me as I'm still in P1 on the last lap. George Russell and Lewis Hamilton both wanting to gain on Max Verstappen. Once again, they are not as close as I thought they were. I thought they were a lot closer, so I slowed down to try to get that DRS on them, and then I do a very aggressive dive on Lewis Hamilton, definitely taking away my street cred of being the best diver, because most of my dives aren't that aggressive to the point where it slows me or another driver down. But this time it did, as Lewis Hamilton is the victim of me not being mature in the turns and being overly aggressive as I am trying to win this race. Lewis Hamilton getting the dive on me and then cutting me off on the inside, so I cannot get the dive back on him. However, I still get around him on the outside, but it might be just a tad bit too late as I cut a corner right there, trying to get as close to George Russell as I can as we come up to the last couple of turns. George Russell now 2 seconds in front of me. Unfortunately, I will not get my first win in a race today, but I will get my first podium finish in our race today as George Russell crosses the line, and then here comes me in P2. The most amount of points I have gotten in a weekend so far. This will definitely help Cringey Racing out in the constructors battle, but unfortunately, just playing around too much, I lost out on the chance to be the one to walk down this hallway right here. Instead, it is George Russell. George Russell is your I don't know what the heck I was about to say. Anyway, George Russell is your COTA winner this year in 2023 in the Cringey universe, as I come in second. And Lewis Hamilton was beat out by Fernando Alonso, who comes in third for this week's race. And as we look at the final things for the weekend, because I do not believe the way I have it picked out is the way they ended the race, as it says for the weekend. George Russell getting 28 points this weekend. I myself getting 27 points this weekend. Fernando Alonso, your third place best racer for the weekend, getting 16. Lando getting 14. Hamilton also getting 14. Both of them tied for fourth. Esteban Ocon getting 10, Sergio Perez getting 10, Charles Leclerc getting 8, Carlos Sainz getting 5, Pierre Gasly getting 4, and Nico Hulkenberg in the Haas getting 2. Moving on over into your driver's standings, Max Verstappen, who did not finish today, still in first. Sergio Perez in second with 37 points behind. Lewis Hamilton in third, 43 points behind. Finishing out your top 10, we have Charles Leclerc, George Russell, Carlos Sainz, Fernando Alonso, Lando Norris, Esteban Ocon, and myself making it into the top 10 of the driver's standings. Only 261 points behind Max Verstappen. Can I do it? Absolutely not, but here's to trying. And moving on to your constructor standings for the end of this week, we have Red Bull still on top in front of Mercedes by only 85 points. Mercedes having a good chance of winning constructors, at least if they can keep their drivers ahead of at least one of the Red Bull drivers. However, we have Ferrari in a third by 101 points. Aston Martin, McLaren, Alpine, Haas in P7, Cringey Racing making it up to P8, the place we need to finish. So we really have to hold on, as we are only 3 points ahead of Alfa Romeo in P9, AlphaTauri P10, and Williams still only in the single digits with 6 points, P11. Alexander Albon, Logan Sargent really need to pick up the pace before they lose their jobs. I'm assuming. I don't really know. Who knows? Maybe they'll move on and they have to pick up F2 drivers. Who knows? Only one way to find out, and that's to get to the end of the season. As this week is over, I really want to thank you guys for watching my videos. I have definitely seen an improvement in the views, so I don't know if I reached, or if I'm starting to reach the community a little by little, but I'm hoping at some point I get way up there. On top of that, there's also the fact that I have got Formula 1 Manager 23 now. I do believe I mentioned that in the last video. I have done my first race. I am editing that video as you are watching this one, so it'll either be out a little bit later after this one, maybe by a couple of hours, or it'll be out tomorrow. However, going off of this first video, please don't judge it too harshly, because I'm still trying to figure out how I'm going to do it. So the first video is going to be done in one way, the second video is going to be done another way, and then until I figure out how the best way of doing it, as I do everything from my PlayStation 5 using Share Factory, we'll figure it out. I'll figure it out. We'll get out there. Anyway, thank you for watching. I hope you liked the video. If you did, please hit the like button. If you can't wait for the next video, please hit that subscribe button. I am trying my hardest to get my follower count up just a little bit, because I want to hit some goals here on YouTube. Either way, until next time, guys, I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you enjoy your lives. Until next time, goodbye.